Imagine standing on a cliff edge where the earth seems to drop into a bottomless void of mist and emerald green forests. This is not a dream or a scene from a fantasy movie. This is the reality of standing at world's end in the heart of Sri Lanka. Most people think of this island as just a small teardrop off the coast of India, but that is the first mistake travelers make. Sri Lanka is not a side note to a larger continent. It is a world of its own, a place where ancient kings built fortresses in the clouds, where leopards roam through golden shrublands, and where the smell of cinnamon and sea salt hangs heavy in the humid air. If you've been looking for a destination that offers the perfect balance of raw adventure and soul-quieting peace, then you have arrived at exactly the right place. Today, we are going on a journey through the wonders of Sri Lanka, exploring the hidden corners and the famous landmarks that make this island one of the most captivating places on our planet. To understand Sri Lanka, you have to start with its heartbeat, which is found in the cultural triangle. This is the northern central part of the island where history feels like it is breathing down your neck. The most iconic of all these sites is undoubtedly Sigiriya. Imagine a massive monolith of orange-hued rock rising 600 feet straight out of the flat, jungle, plains. This is the Lion Rock. To the local people, it is much more than a geological anomaly. It was once the center of a short-lived but spectacular kingdom. King Kashyapa, a man driven by ambition and perhaps a bit of paranoia, chose this rock as his capital in the 5th century. As you start the climb, you quickly realize this was no ordinary palace. The path is guarded by 2 massive stone lion paws, all that remains of a gargantuan statue that once greeted visitors. Scaling the side of the rock involves narrow metal staircases that wrap around the sheer face of the stone, but every step is worth the effort. Along the way, you find frescoes of heavenly maidens painted directly onto the rock face, their colors still vibrant after more than 1,500 years. When you finally reach the summit, the wind whips around you, and you are standing on the ruins of a palace that feels like it was built in the heavens. From up here, you can see the symmetrical gardens and water moats laid out below, showing a level of urban planning that was centuries ahead of its time. But Sigiriya is just the beginning of the story. Just a short drive away lies Dambulla, a site that trades the heights of the air for the depths of the earth. The cave temple complex at Dambulla is a series of 5 caverns carved into a massive overhanging rock. Inside, you are met with an overwhelming display of religious devotion. Thousands of square feet of ceiling are covered in intricate murals depicting the life of the Buddha, while over 150 statues sit in silent meditation. The air inside is cool and smells of burning incense and lotus flowers left as offerings. It is a place that demands silence and reflection. You can feel the weight of centuries of prayer in these cool, dark spaces. It is a stark contrast to the heat and noise of the modern world outside. As we move away from the ancient ruins, the landscape begins to shift. Sri Lanka is an island of dramatic transitions. You can drive for 3 hours and feel like you have crossed into an entirely different country. We leave the dry plains behind and start the long, winding ascent into the central highlands, and this is tea country. As the elevation rises, the temperature drops, and the humidity of the coast is replaced by a crisp, invigorating mountain air. The hillsides here are carpeted in an endless expanse of bright green tea bushes, meticulously pruned to look like a velvet blanket stretched over the mountains. This is where the world's finest Ceylon tea is born. In the town of Nuwara Eliya, which the British once called Little England, the architecture shifts to red brick cottages and gabled roofs. The mist often rolls in during the late afternoon, swallowing the valleys and making the whole place feel like a scene from a Victorian novel. One of the most essential experiences in this region is the train ride from Kandy to Ella. It is frequently cited as the most beautiful train journey in the world, and honestly, the titles do not do it justice. You sit in an open doorway of a bright blue or red vintage carriage, your legs dangling over the edge as the train chugs slowly along the mountain ridges. You pass through tunnels over high stone bridges and right through the middle of tea plantations where workers in colorful saris are picking the young leaves. The rhythm of the tracks and the cool wind on your face create a sense of freedom that is hard to find anywhere else. The highlight of this journey is crossing the 9-arch bridge near Ella. This massive stone structure, built without a single piece of steel, rises out of a lush green gorge. Standing on the bridge while the train passes by feels like watching history in motion. Ella itself is a backpacker's paradise, a small town nestled in a gap in the mountains that offers some of the best hiking on the island. A sunrise hike to the top of Little Adams Peak gives you a panoramic view of the Ella Gap, where the land falls away to reveal the distant southern plains shimmering in the morning light. Speaking of the plains, we cannot talk about Sri Lanka without mentioning its incredible wildlife. For an island of its size, the biodiversity here is staggering. In the southeast lies Yala National Park, a land of thorny scrub, brackish lagoons, and massive rock outcrops. Yala is famous for having the highest density of leopards in the world. Tracking these elusive big cats is a game of patience and luck. You set out before dawn in an open-top jeep, the cool morning air biting at your skin. As the sun rises, the bush comes alive. You might see a herd of wild elephants crossing the road, their skin caked in red mud, or a spotted deer freezing in the tall grass. And then, if the stars align, you spot a flick of a tail or the amber glow of eyes in the shadows. Seeing a leopard lounging on a granite boulder or stalking through the undergrowth is a primal experience that leaves you breathless. But Yala is just one of many parks. If you prefer elephants, Minaria National Park in the north is the place to be. During the dry season, hundreds of elephants migrate to the receding shores of an ancient reservoir. This event, known as The Gathering, is one of the greatest wildlife spectacles in Asia. Watching matriarchs lead their calves to the water's edge while bulls rumble in the distance is a powerful reminder of the majesty of the natural world. The journey through Sri Lanka eventually leads everyone back to the coast, and it is here that the island shows its most relaxing face. The southern coastline is a string of golden sand beaches, turquoise waters, and swaying palm trees. Marissa is the go-to spot for those who want to combine beach time with whale watching. Sri Lanka is one of the few places on Earth where you can see the blue whale, the largest animal to ever live, just a short boat ride from the shore. Seeing the massive fluke of a blue whale break the surface of the Indian Ocean is a humbling moment that puts our own existence into perspective. Further west along the coast lies the historic city of Galle. This is a place where South Asian culture meets colonial Europe. The Galle Fort, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, was first built by the Portuguese and then heavily fortified by the Dutch in the 17th century. Today, it is a living monument. You can walk along the massive granite ramparts as the waves of the Indian Ocean crash against the base. Inside the fort, the narrow streets are lined with boutiques, cafes, and old colonial villas. It is a place of quiet charm where you can watch a game of cricket being played on the grass or see the sunset from the iconic white lighthouse. But the beauty of Sri Lanka is not just in its landscapes or its history, it is in the sensory details of everyday life. It is the taste of a spicy kotu roti being chopped on a flat grill by a street-side vendor, the sound of the rhythmic clanging echoing through the night. It is the sight of stilt fishermen in Weligama perched precariously on wooden poles over the breaking surf, waiting for a catch using techniques passed down through generations. It is the smell of fresh coconut milk and roasted spices that fills every household at mealtime. The food in Sri Lanka is a journey in itself. From the fiery dal curries to the sweet and tangy sini sambal, every meal is an explosion of flavor. You cannot leave without trying a hopper, a bowl-shaped pancake made from fermented rice flour and coconut milk, often served with a fried egg in the center. It is simple, humble, and absolutely delicious. Spirituality also plays a massive role in the Sri Lankan experience. You see it in the white-clad pilgrims carrying lotus flowers to the Temple of the Tooth in Kandy, where a sacred relic of the Buddha is kept. You see it in the colorful Hindu Kovils of the north with their towering gopurams covered in thousands of painted deities. And you see it in the quiet mountain shrines where a single oil lamp flickers in the breeze. There is a deep-seated sense of kindness and hospitality in the Sri Lankan people. Despite the challenges the country has faced, from colonial rule to civil war and economic shifts, the warmth of the locals remains unshaken. A smile is the universal currency here, and you will find that strangers are always willing to help or share a story over a cup of tea. As we look toward the northern part of the island, we find a region that is only recently becoming a staple for travelers. Jaffna, the cultural heart of the Tamil people, feels worlds away from the southern beaches. The landscape here is flatter, dominated by palmyra palms and shallow lagoons. The light has a different quality, and the air is dry. Exploring the Jaffna Fort or visiting the Nallur Kandaswamy Kovil with its vibrant murals and golden structures provides a different perspective on the island's complex identity. The islands off the coast of Jaffna, like Delft Island, offer a rugged beauty where wild ponies roam free and the fences are made of coral stone. It is a reminder that Sri Lanka is a mosaic of different cultures, languages, and traditions, all held together by the surrounding sea. There is a certain magic in the way Sri Lanka forces you to slow down. You can't rush through these winding mountain roads or hurry a local chef who is grinding spices by hand. The island operates on its own time. It encourages you to linger over a sunset, to watch the way the light changes the color of the tea leaves, and to listen to the sounds of the jungle at night. Whether you are seeking the adrenaline of surfing the breaks at Arugam Bay on the east coast, the intellectual stimulation of exploring ancient ruins, or the simple joy of a tropical paradise, Sri Lanka delivers in a way that feels personal. It is not a place that you just visit, it is a place that you feel. One of the most profound experiences you can have is the pilgrimage up Adam's Peak, or Sri Pada. This holy mountain is sacred to 4 major religions. At the summit sits a footprint carved in stone, believed by Buddhists to be that of the Buddha, by Hindus to be Shivas, and by Christians and Muslims to be Adams. The climb is usually done at night, a grueling ascent of thousands of stone steps lit by a string of lights that looks like a stairway to heaven from a distance. You climb alongside elderly grandmothers and young children, all driven by faith or the desire to see the dawn. When you reach the top, shivering in the pre-dawn chill, the sun begins to rise, casting a perfect triangular shadow of the mountain across the clouds. In that moment, as the temple bells ring and the chanting begins, the divisions of the world seem to melt away. Sri Lanka is a land of contrasts. It is a place where you can find ultimate luxury in a boutique villa overlooking a private cove, or raw authenticity in a crowded third-class train carriage. It is an island that has been shaped by the currents of the Indian Ocean and the influence of countless travelers who have landed on its shores over the millennia. From the ancient seafaring traders who came for cinnamon and gems to the modern travelers who come for the soul of the island, Sri Lanka continues to enchant everyone who steps onto its soil. As our journey through this island comes to a close, it is clear that the true wonder of Sri Lanka isn't just one destination or one monument. It is the feeling of the island itself, a place that manages to be both tiny and infinite at the very same time. Moving deeper into the heart of the island, we encounter the spiritual capital, Kandy. This city is draped around a central lake, tucked into a valley surrounded by some of the most lush hills you will ever see. Kandy is a place of deep importance for the Sinhalese people. It was the last independent kingdom to fall to the British, and it holds its traditions with a fierce pride. The Temple of the Sacred Tooth relic is the focal point here. Every day, thousands of people visit to offer prayers to the tooth of the Buddha, which is housed in a golden casket. The drumming ceremonies that take place during the dawn and dusk offerings are hypnotic. The sound of the drums echoes through the temple halls, creating an atmosphere that is electric with devotion. Just outside the city, the Paradanaya Royal Botanical Gardens offer a more tranquil experience. Walking under the canopy of giant Java fig trees or through the orchid house, you get a sense of the incredible fertility of this land. Everything grows here with an intensity that is almost overwhelming. From Kandy, the road stretches out toward the eastern coast, which offers a completely different vibe compared to the south. If the south is about golden sun and social hubs, the east is about raw, rugged beauty and a slower pace of life. Arugam Bay is the crown jewel of the east coast. It is a world-renowned surf spot where the waves have a long, consistent break that attracts professionals and beginners alike. The town is a laid-back strip of guest houses and cafes where the main mode of transportation is a bicycle. Just a short hop from the surf, you find Kumana National Park, a birdwatcher's paradise. The lagoons here are filled with storks, pelicans, and flamingos, and the silence is only broken by the calls of the wild. It is one of the best places to see the island as it has been for thousands of years, untouched and wild. Further up the east coast is Trincomalee, a beautiful natural harbor city with a history that spans millennia. The Koneswaram Temple sits on the edge of a sheer cliff known as Lover's Leap, overlooking the deep blue waters of the harbor. This Hindu temple is a riot of color, with intricate statues of gods and goddesses looking out over the sea. The waters around Trincomalee are also famous for whale and dolphin watching, and the nearby Nillaveli Beach offers some of the whitest sand and clearest water on the island. It is the perfect place to go snorkeling at Pigeon Island, where the coral reefs are teeming with tropical fish and harmless blacktip reef sharks. It feels like a hidden world away from the more crowded tourist paths. Returning to the inland wonders, we have to talk about the cultural richness of the ancient cities of Anurad, Hapura, and Polonnaruwa. These are the places where the foundations of Sri Lankan civilization were laid. Anuradhapura was the first capital, a sprawling complex of massive stupas that once rivaled the pyramids of Giza in size. These giant white domes, known as dagobas, contain sacred relics and are surrounded by the ruins of immense monasteries and palaces. Walking through these ruins, you see the intricate moonstones, which are semicircular stone slabs carved with animals and symbols representing the journey of life. Polonnaruwa, the second capital, offers a more compact look at medieval Sri Lanka. The highlight here is the Galvihara, a collection of 4 massive Buddha statues carved out of a single piece of granite. The reclining Buddha, measuring 14 meters long, has a facial expression of such profound peace that it is hard not to be moved by it. The engineering of the massive reservoirs, or tanks, built by the kings to manage water for rice cultivation is still in use today, proving that the ancient dwellers of this island were masters of their environment.